The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the shallow hum of the machines that surrounded the small hospital bed, and in that stillness Aaliya sat, her fingers tightly interlaced with the frail hand of her mother, a hand that once had the strength to carry her, to shield her from every pain, a hand that had wiped countless tears, cooked countless meals, and carried countless burdens without complaint, and now that very hand trembled, thin as paper, veins visible like fragile threads, and Aaliya could not bear the thought that one day soon this hand would no longer return her grip, that it would fall into stillness and leave her with nothing but memories. She stared at her mother's face, pale and tired, yet still beautiful in a way that went beyond appearance, beautiful because it carried a lifetime of love, sacrifice, and resilience, and in those closed eyes Aaliya remembered the warmth of her childhood, the way her mother would wake before dawn to prepare breakfast, humming softly to herself as though life were a simple melody, the way she never ate until everyone else was fed, never rested until everyone else was safe, never spoke of her own pain yet carried everyone else's without hesitation. Aaliya's throat tightened as tears gathered, and she whispered words that seemed so inadequate, "Mama, I still need you, I'm not ready to lose you." And though her mother did not open her eyes, a faint smile appeared on her lips, as if to say she already knew, as if to remind her that love does not need words. The hours passed slowly, each second dragging like a weight on Aaliya's chest, and she thought of all the moments she had taken for granted, the evenings she came home late without noticing how her mother waited at the door, the times she snapped in irritation without realizing how much those words cut, the mornings she left without saying goodbye because she thought there would always be another day, another chance, another tomorrow, but now tomorrow felt like a cruel uncertainty. She wanted to go back, to relive every second, to hold her tighter, to listen longer, to memorize every detail of her laughter, every wrinkle at the corner of her eyes, every story she told that Aaliya thought she already knew. The machine beeped steadily, mocking her with the reminder that her mother's heart was fighting but weakening, and in that sterile room Aaliya felt the weight of every choice she had ever made, every time she had thought she was too busy to sit down for tea, every phone call she delayed because she assumed there would be time. Now time was a thief, stealing seconds while she watched helplessly, and all she could do was hold on tighter. She leaned forward, her forehead pressing against her mother's hand, and memories spilled through her like floodwaters, the day she fell off her bicycle and her mother ran barefoot through the street to lift her, the nights of fever when her mother sat beside her with a cool cloth, whispering lullabies even though her own eyes burned with exhaustion, the way she clapped louder than anyone else at her graduation, pride shining brighter than the sun itself, and even the arguments, the scolding, the strict words that at the time felt harsh but now tasted like love. Each memory was both comfort and wound, reminding her of what she had, reminding her of what she was about to lose. She lifted her head and studied her mother's face, trying to engrave every detail into her soul, the curve of her lips, the softness of her brow, the faint lines that told 1,000 stories of laughter and hardship, and she whispered again, "Please stay, Mama, please fight, I don't know how to live in a world without you." But the truth whispered back at her in the quiet of the room, the truth that no matter how tightly she held on, life was slipping, and love could not chain the soul forever to this fragile body. Her mother's chest rose and fell, slower each time, and Aaliya could feel the rhythm faltering, could feel the air thickening with the inevitability of goodbye, and panic clawed at her. She wanted to scream, to beg, to bargain with the universe, to give anything in exchange for just one more year, one more day, one more moment, but the universe was silent, unmoved by her desperation. She pressed her lips to her mother's hand, tasting the salt of her own tears, and then it happened, so quiet, so cruel. The machine gave a long unbroken sound, her mother's chest rose once more and then stilled, the hand she held grew heavy, and the world collapsed around her. A sound tore from Aaliya's throat, raw and broken, a cry that filled the sterile room with grief, echoing off the walls as though even they could not bear the weight of her sorrow, and she clung to the lifeless hand, refusing to let go, rocking back and forth as if motion alone could summon life again, but nothing changed, the silence deepened, and outside the window dawn crept into the sky, uncaring, indifferent, mocking her with light when her world had fallen into darkness. Nurses came, gentle voices spoke, hands touched her shoulder, but she could not hear, she could not move, her entire being was bound to the stillness of that bed, and when at last they pried her fingers free she felt as though they were tearing out her soul. The days that followed blurred together, condolences poured in, people said the words they thought might help. She was told her mother was in a better place, that time would heal, that she was strong, but none of it reached her, none of it mattered, because strength was useless when the very foundation of her life had been ripped away. She walked through the house and felt her absence in every corner, the chair that would never again be occupied, the kitchen that would never again be filled with the smell of her cooking, the quiet hum of her voice that would never again echo through the walls. She touched her mother's clothes and pressed them to her face, inhaling a fading scent that made her collapse to the floor in sobs, and she realized grief is not loud, grief is the silence that screams, the emptiness that suffocates, the weight that never lifts. Weeks passed and the world moved on, but Aaliya was still trapped in that hospital room, still hearing the long unbroken sound of the machine, still seeing the tear that slid from her mother's eye, still begging silently for one more chance. She went through the motions of life, but inside she was hollow, a body moving without purpose, a heart beating without rhythm. And yet in that emptiness, in the quiet of the nights when she lay awake staring at the ceiling, she felt something, a whisper not from the world but from her own soul, a reminder that though her mother was gone, her love had not vanished. It lived in the way Aaliya remembered to be gentle with others, it lived in the way she found herself humming while cooking, it lived in the tears and in the laughter, it lived in the deepest part of her, unbreakable, eternal. And though the ache never left, though the wound never closed, Aaliya slowly began to walk again, carrying her mother not beside her but within her, a love that death could not destroy.